Are we experiencing a moment where I am actually ready before you, Bobby? Can we
Yeah,
just
because
point that out?
normally you're like, "Hey man, my camera's not working. Do you want to use this camera or do you want to use the better
We could
audio?"
just do
Or
smoke signals, Bobby. My stuff's not working.
what is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, and I'm welcoming you back very quickly. This is the quickest turnaround ever. The amazing Mr. Josh Thomas. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. This was actually a pretty good E3, which means it's a great E3 to a normal person.
Yes.
As you know, a curmudgeon
Yeah, you're
when it
pretty.
comes to video games.
Especially with Nintendo. You do not let them off the mat at all. Like they
Well,
have to
somebody
have
has to be tough on them.
they have to have the most spectacular E3 ever for you to be like, it was good. It was all right. It
I
was all right.
expect perfection from them, and I
Yeah.
will settle for no less.
I will say this: as much as I loved this E3, it was not perfection. It was very good, but there was some. I felt like there were some things that they could have done a little better, in my opinion.
Well, it wasn't, you say it wasn't perfection. I would say it wasn't pickfection because Pikmin wasn't there
Well,
again.
yeah, and that's I think next year, do me a favor,
Yeah.
do not predict Pikmin.
I
Just
didn't were me and you talking about this how I was going to curse it again every time I say
yeah,
Pikmin and it's
yeah,
never there?
exactly. And you were like, "I'm not gonna do it." Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it. Or you were like, "I wasn't gonna do it," but you know what? It wouldn't be me if I didn't do it.
I
And
cursed.
you cursed it. Just
I'm
next year,
very sorry.
don't do it. Just let it go, and then you'll be happier. You know what I mean? But I know what you're doing. You're doing it because you want to be like, I called it. Well, after like 5 years, like eventually it's gonna
14
happen.
years I've been saying it, called it. I knew it. I knew it was coming.
What refresh my memory real quick. Was there anything that you did call for this E3 that kind of came true?
Well, slowly but surely, Nintendo is building the Animal Crossing game that I've been making in make believe episodes.
Did,
There's a lot of ideas that I've said that are
yeah.
in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Pretty happy about that.
Yeah,
The bait, the
the
fishing
bait.
bait.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that, dude. I saw that and I was like, Josh. That's the first thing I thought, Josh. So that was pretty awesome. Um, yeah, that's pretty spectacular, honestly. And I even said to you before, like I would pray that they would just watch your stuff and just hijack everything from you. Um,
I think, by the way, in not to get ahead of us here, but you said, is there anything that I like predicted or whatever? Luigi's Mansion 3 has a lot of things that I complained about
mhm.
fixed. I would complain about a lot of things and I've noticed, oh, they fixed that. Oh, they
Yeah.
fixed that. They fixed that. So I think they actually do look at message boards and YouTube videos and stuff. Cause on the Treehouse Live segment, somebody from Next Level Games was there,
Yep.
and they said they do listen to that stuff.
Yeah,
So
they said that Next Level Games was
well,
there today. They said they went back, they watched reviews, they watched all the complaints, and
mm,
they fixed a lot of what people didn't like with Luigi's Mansion 2, which was the number one was go back to the way more like 1, and they said they did that. They actually started making pulls from 1. Did you notice? I don't know if you saw this. There's a photo going around where someone did
of me naked. Yes, I've seen this. Listen, it's photoshopped. No, it's not. It's real. Anyways, what were you saying?
there's a
You
screen.
know what you're getting when you
I
invite
know it's fine. It's fine.
me.
There's a screen grab of Luigi in one of the rooms, and there's a painting or a picture on the wall,
Yeah, I've seen
and
this.
it's Doc Lewis from Punch Out.
Oh no, Doc Lewis. So there's a lot of references
Yeah.
actually in that movie studio area.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
movie studio in a hotel? I don't know where they're going with
Yeah. I
that.
don't know.
But there's a painting on the wall from Mario Strikers Charged of Mario doing that like demonic charge shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a picture of Little Mac on the wall, and if you pull it off, his punch out glove, the green glove, comes out. Luigi can suck it up and then like shoot it off.
Oh,
I've
that's
seen
pretty cool.
that.
Yeah, I didn't see that part, but it's neat to me because I'm like, well, Next Level did Punch Out on the Wii, so that
Yeah,
kind
and
of
strikers.
yeah. So it's kind of cool that they're kind of making reference to their previous games. Okay, so we had Josh on, and you and Justin Masson pretty much kicked off what I did for E3. It was the first time I had ever done anything like this, and um, what for those that are just watching now, what I did was I grabbed a whole bunch of YouTubers, brought him in, had him give me my predictions. You're the only one, though, that I actually gave my predictions back to.
Okay.
Everybody else, I just listened to theirs, and then we had discussions based on it.
You had to sit and listen to Justin Masson, and you couldn't say anything?
I said stuff. I just didn't give predictions.
Oh my God, you're a braver man than I thought.
Well, he's not that bad. Come on. He's not that bad. I was a little upset last night. Zach backed out of the show last night.
Well, he's like got 17 children now, and they're running around. He's
just running rampant.
He's a busy man.
I think he's done with video games pretty much. I mean, he plays them, but I think the whole Nintendo dad thing is gone now.
I think he's moved on.
So what I did was I thought, like, who would I want to bring back to do this? And funny thing is, my good friend Toby from the Nintendo PlayStation podcast, when I told him that I did this episode with you, or the last episode with you, he was like, "You got to bring Josh back after E3 because I want to hear what he thinks about it." I was like, "Okay, I'll work on it." And then
he wants me to be catty.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, there's a few things I can be catty about. Don't worry.
He doesn't want you to be catty. I think he wants to know what everybody wants to know. We'll get to it though. Is Animal Crossing, but we'll get to that point. Okay. So E3 starts off. We get the first DLC character for Smash, and what threw me off, I'll be honest, was I really thought that they were going to announce a character during the Smash tournament, and they didn't. And I was like, okay. So when they didn't announce it, I kind of thought like, well, maybe they're only doing one now. I didn't think they were going to do two. But I really wasn't super excited. I think that's more of a Japanese character. You know what I mean? Like those fans are going to get excited for that more than you or I would, or most Americans.
Yeah, I think Dragon Quest is huge in Japan, and not really so much outside of Japan. I know it's popular outside of Japan, but I feel like that really was one that was mostly appealing to Japanese audiences.
Yes, I agree.
It's actually more than one character, isn't it? There's like 4 of them.
Well, there's
like
Echo
variations?
Fighters. There's Echo Fighters.
Yeah,
they called it the hero, and then they took the hero from this game, and then I think from 5, 4, 7, something like that. Like they took like 4 different characters throughout the franchise history, and put them into like Echo Fighter mode, where they're all just kind of doing their thing. I mean, like I said, we got that, and I was just like, okay, good, let's move on. I thought the Bowser stuff was actually really funny.
I loved that. That was good.
Because to me, it was like, I think we're kind of in this quasi thing. I mean, most of us know, like, he's leaned into the whole Bowser thing pretty well. But you're kind of at this moment, like, well, is he going to be like Reggie and Iwata, or is he going to just kind of be still kind of stiff? And he just showed, like, no, he's going to own it, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little bit sad that we really don't even have anybody that's like Mr. Iwata. You know, the new president is a little bit more backdoors, not really into the being a personality.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was kind of wondering the same thing with Doug Bowser. Like, is he going to play up the Bowser thing? Is he going to be kind of doing the whole? And it seems like he is. Yeah. I like that. I think it was funny. I mean, they went to the trouble of animating Bowser with that, so I thought that was funny.
It was pretty cool. It was funny when it first started. I was like, okay, is it going to turn into Bowser, or is like he going to talk and you're going to hear Doug Bowser's voice, and then all of a sudden he comes out. I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah,
what I thought would have been a really cool touch, but it would have probably cost him some money to do, is if he would have taken the tie off of Bowser and then put it on himself, because he wasn't wearing a tie. So if it was almost like, that's not yours, you know what I mean, like that type of thing. But I was like, okay, he's not gonna do that. That's fine. I think for me, I start to get excited probably. I mean, I don't know what part I get excited, but there's a few games that got me pretty excited. Astral Chain, I think, is probably one that gets me super hyped up, because it's one that we didn't know about at all. I'm a fan of Bayonetta 1 and 2. I like what Platinum does when Platinum kind of is allowed to do their own thing. Star Fox Zero was horrendous, but I don't blame them for that. I think you're with me on that.
Who do you blame, Bobby? Throw the blame out there. Who's to blame for Star Fox Zero? Let's name some names.
I'll tell you exactly who I blame. It's not Miyamoto, and it's not Iwata. It's all the people that kept yelling at Nintendo, we need a killer app for this gamepad on the Wii. And if you remember at the time, Iwata tapped Miyamoto to be like, make us some games where this is relevant.
The gamepad.
And he went out and kind of, because he had them tech demos where he was showing it off and doing stuff. And I just feel like he was kind of stuck in a situation where we need to do something. Little did they know, coming the same year was Splatoon and Mario Maker, and those two games were basically the ones that they needed anyway. So, but I mean, I think at some point they should have been like, okay, this just isn't working. Let's change it. But I get where they were going. You know,
how bad was Metroid Prime 4 to be canceled, yet Star Fox Zero wasn't? Imagine how bad that game must have been that they canceled that.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? You know, Pat from Nintendo Talk right now, he's a little upset with you because he likes Metroid Prime, or not Metroid Prime. He likes Star Fox Zero. He thinks it's a good game.
Is he okay?
This is This is something you have as a moderator on your channel.
Well, I did, Bobby. I gotta check. Turns out I gotta check him a little bit more than I have. You
need to run through the ringer first. No, but for me, Astral Chain, I got really excited because I thought this game it looks fantastic. So I was happy with that. Do you have anything for Astral Chain or?
It looks like it's very high quality. I can tell there's a lot of passion put into it. It seems like it looks expensive and all that. Yeah. I haven't looked into it that much because my initial reaction was just, this doesn't seem like a game for me. Is it like an action game? I'm not really even that sure about what it is. It's just not Animal Crossing, so I don't care about it.
Oh my God.
Now I'm joking because that's what people say about me. They're all like, this guy's a jerk. He only cares about Animal Crossing. That's all he ever cares about. But I like about 30 of Nintendo's franchises, so I guess I only care about Animal Crossing if you exclude 30 other franchises.
Well, it's true. You really only care. That's the one you talk about the most.
I don't like Animal Crossing. I just pretend to like it because it makes me a lot of money with those stupid video journals.
Listen, I would not even know who you were if it wasn't for your Dream Diary sweets. Those things, those things were the best. I love those things.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with let's start with Luigi's Mansion because I know how much of a fan of Luigi's Mansion you are and of Halloween. I know you weren't big on Luigi's Mansion 2, so I know, but I want to know, did this make you happy?
It's weird. I hate and like the game at the same time. It's a weird thing for me.
Oh my God.
I'm watching the trailer, I'm watching the treehouse footage, and I'm the king of Halloween, which is what I am.
Yes.
Put that underneath my video here.
Okay, I'll put the king of Halloween. Okay. Jesus.
But as the king of Halloween, I'm always looking, I'm always saying like, oh, that's good, that's good. Oh, I don't like that, that shouldn't be there. Oh, that shouldn't be there. That's good. No, they should have done that this way. So there's a lot of like directing from beyond the screen that I'm doing when I watch that.
Yes.
It's better than Dark Moon from what I can see. It looks better than Dark Moon. It seems like it's very loved. I feel like Next Level Games is really loving the process of making it. I don't think like they're being lazy, but at the same time, I feel like they need a director who knows exactly what he's doing. Mm-hmm. There's still problems that I have with like the art style. I think the art style is a little bit too cartoony at times. I wish it was a little dirtier looking. Some of the I gotta talk about this. I hate the ghosts again. The ghosts really? They're minions.
That's
It's that, and it's like that's too much.
Yeah.
The first game, so the first Luigi's Mansion has silliness and stuff, like the door slams you in the door and squashes you. But it's like, it's done in a tasteful way to where it's not in your face, it's not constant. And like after you get smashed from that door in the first game, you hear the ghost laughing at you. And it's like a creepy, eerie laugh. And it's like, where's the ghost at? I don't know. So it's like, they did it really well. And in this game, it's like you might as well replace those ghosts with minions. Yeah. They're wearing little maids' outfits. They're knocking you over the head with the baguettes. They're doing all this wacky stuff. And I think it's just you need to be creative enough to have the restraint to say, we could do that, but we shouldn't because it doesn't match the tone we're going for.
Yeah.
And I know it's a Mario game, and I know it's not supposed to be Resident Evil. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you'll understand this reference. Disney's Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
That's not bloody and gory and chainsaws.
But it's amazing.
But it's also, it's a sophisticated, cool spookiness. And that's what they need to go for with the vibe of Luigi's Mansion 3. And they are not going for that.
And that's how
They're going for the minions.
And that's how I felt with Luigi's Mansion 1. And with Luigi's Mansion 2, I can kind of see what you're saying. Like, you don't... And now with 3, it's a little off. It's not exactly like that.
Right.
Yeah. Now, for those that don't know, just recently on your channel, you did this thing where you actually went in and retextured and changed the lighting on stuff to show what you would want from a Luigi's Mansion. I mean, were they close in your mind?
They did get closer. They did add more detail to some of the textures. They added normal mapping, spec mapping to some things. So visually, like I said, there's times where I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, this is good. I can accept this. Yeah. This looks good. And then there's other things where I'm just like, what? Medieval times? Why is there medieval times in a hotel? What does this have to do with anything? Why are there big watermelons in the bathroom? Watermelons are a summer fruit. Why wouldn't you put like pumpkins? There's
That's true.
Supposed to be like rules here.
Yeah.
When I think of a watermelon, I think of a tropical island. I don't think a spooky mansion. So why are there so many watermelons in this game? So little stuff like that just irks me. And I'm, as you know, a jerk. So I care about those things. The average person is not going to be saying, oh, forget it. Turn the game off. There's a watermelon.
Yeah.
That's summer. Nobody's going to really think. I mean, I have a few friends that are jerks like me that will say the same stuff. We'll be like, oh yeah, why is there one? But most people probably aren't going to be that nitpicky.
Well, people aren't going to look at that and go like, okay, that's out of sorts. But you're going to overanalyze everything because you like the game. So you're being very critical of what it is.
I'd love to be the director on that game, Bobby. They'd all hate me, but we'd make such a great game together. They'd be like, oh, God, is he sick today? Thank God he's not coming in. Oh, my God. Oh, he is coming in? Oh, I hate that guy.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Okay, next game on my list here is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Dude, I don't know about you. Well, I'm pretty sure. I love the art style. I love the chibiness of it. I love everything about it. Like the plastic look reminds me of the what's it, Hermie from Rudolph. Like, so much like that, you know, the little character, the one who wants to be the dentist. For those that have never seen Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like, who knows? In a couple of years, it'll be banned from TV or something.
It is, yeah.
It's getting close.
Pretty controversial movie.
It's pretty much. What they showed you. Well, I mean, the thing about it.
I have a question for you, actually, Bobby. Did you play the original game?
I did play the original game.
Okay.
I've never beat the original game. I got up to the final dungeon, and the difficulty ramps up so high that I guess when I was just younger, I was just like getting frustrated and was just like, I'm going to stop. And then I tried it again. Years later, I went back and played again, and it just, again, I got to the end, and I was just like, man, why does this thing just get super hard? And then I went back and started reading some stuff, and I was like, oh, because you're supposed to, like, double up weapons and combine weapons, and the way they built the console or the system and the game was you actually are supposed to, like, in mid-battle, switch between your weapons, where apparently that's fixed in this game. Because apparently you're always carrying your shield, your sword, and one other thing at all times. And then your other buttons, or maybe it's just the shield and the sword that you always have with two of your buttons. And then your other two buttons are your mapped buttons, like your BA button, and meaning your combos, like arrows and bombs and things like that. So I think this one will be a little bit easier in terms of, like, because of the improvements they've made, the quality of life improvements that they've made to the button mapping and all that stuff. So, but yeah, I it's not my favorite Zelda. I'm gonna say that straight off. I don't feel like it's the best Zelda ever. My favorite Zelda is A Link to the Past. That is, to me, the all-time best one ever. I'm not saying Link's Awakening is horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I liken it to Majora's Mask, how people act like it is the second coming of Christ. And I'm like, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not great. And it's just how I feel.
Well, I'll say something controversial.
Oh boy.
Majora's Mask is like the worst Zelda game of all time.
I'm with you there.
I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like with Zelda, I want to feel a sense of progression, like I'm changing the world as I'm doing things. But here's a Zelda game that's like, yeah, you know all that stuff you did? Well, it didn't happen now because you went back in time. And also, oh, you better hurry up and do that thing quickly because if you don't, you got to go all the way back and you'll have to do it again. So like there were a lot of times where I was like trying to do this thing, but uh-oh, the world's going to end. I guess I got to do this all over again.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what?
Yeah.
People like this? But I mean, hey, you're allowed to like things. I'm not saying you're wrong, but what the heck? It's like a Zelda game for masochists or something. I don't know what's going on with that. I did play the 3DS version though, and apparently the 3DS version is not as good. So I don't know. But no, I am so excited for Link's Awakening. Yeah. I did not play the original game, so to me, this is kind of like a new game. Yeah. I feel like even if I did play the original game, this looks like it's a little different. It's like a huge leap visually and atmosphere and stuff and control. I love, like you said, I love the plastic art style, which is usually something I don't like. I don't like when a game looks plasticky, like New Super Mario Brothers. Yeah. But this is purposely trying to look like a toy and plasticky, so it works really well. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just so excited to play this game. I was watching the Treehouse Live stuff, and I was like, oh, no. Well, I can't watch any more of this. I want to get
like, that's one of the things that, like, I understand some degree. Like, they're like, oh, it's a 30-year-old game. Like, we should be able to show you what we want to show. But at the same time, it's like, there are a lot of people that never played this game. Let them go in fresh. Like, let them just play it for the first time. Back off a little bit. So...
From what I've heard too, I have friends who have played it. A friend that I have said it's her favorite Zelda game ever. So I don't know. But a lot of people say this is one of the weirder Zelda games. Like people are like, "Oh, Josh, you're gonna like it because you like weird stuff like Chibi Robo, Captain Rainbow, and all that." And they're like, "Oh, there's some weird stuff in here." So I'm really looking forward to seeing how.
As a Nintendo fan, there's all kinds of weird stuff that they threw in there. Just a quick backstory to it. So what happened was. The team that made this game actually worked with Miyamoto and them on A Link to the Past. And they had this idea, this mechanic idea of like combining the arrow and the bomb together, and Miyamoto shot it down. Miyamoto said like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to keep it kind of core. And then when they got done making that, Miyamoto went off to go make another game, and then Nintendo was like, hey, let's make a game for the Game Boy. Let's make a Zelda game for the Game Boy. So they tapped that team to take some of the assets, because it does look very similar in style to Link to the Past. And they said, go make this game. And as they started making the game, they started adding stuff. And Miyamoto was so busy doing what he was doing, he never really paid it a whole lot of mind. And this game got through the cracks, essentially, of something that probably wouldn't have gotten made the way it did if Miyamoto was focused on it and doing stuff. But he was so busy at the time because he was directing multitude of games back then. It wasn't just one game. You know, he had Mario, Zelda, Star Fox, like everything. He was doing all kinds of stuff. So his hands were all over the place. So these guys, they basically got away with something, and it turned out to be something that was beloved by many for many, many years. And it's a little... And the other reason why they kind of let them do what they wanted to do, because it wasn't technically within the Zelda lore. It was, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's a dream sequence. So it's not necessarily... It's whatever. So they could kind of do whatever they wanted to do and get away with everything. So it's kind of cool.
One of the things that I mentioned, I think it was in my live reaction for it, I was like, oh, I really love tropical things, so I'm very excited about this game. Yeah. And people were like, people were like, oh, Josh likes tropical things, tee-hee-hee, don't tell him. So I don't know what they're referring to. Is there something in this game? Like, what are they? Do you have any idea?
I'm not saying nothing to you. Why would I spoil anything for you?
Does it turn into a winter game all of a sudden? Is that the troll that's going on?
No. But it's
okay. I'm really curious to know what's in that egg. I don't want to know before I play it, but I'm curious what's in that giant egg. It's Birdo, isn't it? I knew it.
That would be pretty.
I'm expecting Birdo to come out.
That would be pretty amazing. I'm gonna go through a couple of games. Just let me know, like, are you excited? No, don't care less, whatever. I don't think you are, but I just want to kind of go through them. Witcher 3 finally got announced to Switch?
Okay, I I'm pretty sure I'm the only human being on the planet that has no clue what that is.
Really?
Because I do a little thing in my direct reactions where if there's a game I don't care about, I talk about shoes
Oh my
because I'm obsessed with
god.
shoes. I have 300
Yes.
shoes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, instead of just, giving a reaction where people get mad at me, I'll talk about shoes. So when The Witcher 3 was on, I was like, I don't know what to say. Anyways, here's a pair of Marc Jacobs shoes. They're shiny and gold and blah, blah, blah. And people were like, this guy doesn't know Witcher 3?
Yeah.
What a game of the year. I'm like, I don't know what this is.
It was massive. So
Okay.
before Breath of the Wild comes out, right? A lot of people pointed to The Witcher 3 and were like, we would love Nintendo to make a Zelda game like this. Open world, gritty, such, and but obviously they didn't go that way with the grittiness, but like the open world and stuff. So many people said, like, for them, it was the new Zelda. It was, because at the time, Nintendo was doing nothing like that. We just came off of Skyward Sword, you know what I mean? So this game is supposedly like really, and plus the lore. Like, if you like Breath of the Wild, where you kind of go in and you do stuff, you can find like journals and stuff like in the debris under the castle and all that. This has all kinds of stuff. Like, there's stuff put in towns that you may never even find. Like, there could be a cabin off in the woods with a journal in it that like you could read and stumble into more storyline and text and all that. But the company, CD Projekt Red, they pay such attention to detail, and they do such a fantastic job with their games. I think that's why people are hyped for this game. But
I was just thinking about shoes the whole time, Bobby.
You're such I can tell when you got that smirk on your face midway through my sentence. I was like, he's gonna come up with something wise. Resident Evil 5 or 6. Do you like Resident Evil games?
I'm scared of them, Bobby.
Oh, Jesus. No More Heroes 3.
That surprised me because they were talking about how they didn't have the budget to make a real No More Heroes game, and that's why they made this sort of mini game mission type thing. So apparently somebody threw a big sack with a dollar sign on it on their front steps, and now they can make a proper No More Heroes.
Nintendo, honestly.
Somebody, yeah. Maybe they do have a publisher. I don't know if that was announced, or maybe they made some money from this previous No More Heroes game that they were able to get to work on it.
I mean, well, it's exclusive on the Switch. So maybe Nintendo.
That could be, there could be some money thrown their way, yeah.
Nintendo probably said, like, let's get it. But if they're announcing it to come out next year, like, they've been working on this thing.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. Yeah,
it's a quick turn.
I was gonna say it was just like a pre-rendered cutscene, so I was thinking maybe they're just getting started on it or something. But if it's coming out next year, that's probably started on it already.
Pretty interesting. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games.
I'm the biggest fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, and I am an Olympic. Well, I used to perform in the Olympics. I was a pole vaulter, as you know, Bobby, until the incident, in which case I couldn't be one anymore. Again, more on that later. No, there's been a lot of those games, but I got to be honest, this one looks kind of cool. I might actually pick this up. Seems like there are a lot of events. It seems like an iconic one because it's in Tokyo and Nintendo's Japanese also. I feel like this game is going to be promoted like crazy during the Olympic season.
Nintendo is actually hosting the Olympics. So, like, meaning, I guess what happens is there's someone, whenever it's in a certain country, there's usually a business that will, like, fund it and do stuff and, like, basically, like, supply the athletes with all kinds of stuff, like food, and
jock straps,
and whatever you want. Nintendo is apparently doing that. Like, they're saying, like, when all the athletes arrive, there'll be a lot of advertising around for Nintendo. Like, they're spending a lot of money on this event because it's a big thing for Japan, and I think them doing that was part of the reason why Japan got the Olympics in the first place. But we'll see.
I was reading up on the Olympics, and apparently it's actually kind of a bad thing for cities to get it because it leaves the city broke and all those venues are not used for anything and it's just a ghost town.
Right.
So it's funny how we're all like, the Olympics, yay! And then the town afterwards, like, ghost town and lost money. And
it's crazy how much money. Yeah, I read the same thing and I was like, holy cow. Because when you think about the United States, we had two, right? We had Los Angeles and Georgia. And Los Angeles, the Coliseum, they don't do anything there. Like, they had the Rams there for a while. Don't do anything anymore. And then I think Georgia, that's just a vacant stadium as well.
what was it? Rio had them recently, and I was looking at pictures of like the Rio things nowadays, all the venues, and it was just like torn down and graffitied and everything, and it cost the town so much money.
It's crazy.
Why is everything Sonic the Hedgehog is associated with end up in bankruptcy and awful things? I don't know. Anyways, next question, Bobby.
Okay, so the next one on the list here, Animal Crossing, and so let's jump into this a little bit. Okay. What the trailer starts, and like I think we both had similar reactions. Like, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? Like they're flying in, like what, and then you see the deserted island, which I know for you see the tropical theme, and I'm sure you were giddy. But walk us through, like what's playing through your mind as all this is unfolding for you?
Well, so they first started it off by saying, like, here's an update on a game we know fans are really excited about. And I'm like, oh, we're almost to the end of this direct. It's going to be Animal Crossing. Then I hear a human female's voice, and I'm like, oh, it's not Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I thought.
And then I see Nook, and I'm like, is there any other Nook? And in my head, little Joshies are like looking through pages, like, is Nook another thing? Could Nook mean anything else? Is that Resident Evil and Raccoon City? No, this is maybe. And then they show it. I'm just like, oh. And it's beautiful. I love the way it looks. The music is great. And it took me a while, though, to really let myself be happy, because at first I was like, wait, is this a mainline Animal Crossing game? Because the severe focus on tropicalness and like the crafting stuff, I'm like, this could be some spin-off game again.
Yeah.
And that would be the biggest troll in the history of video games. But then when I saw the fall, you'll see in my reaction, I see fall, and I'm like, okay.
So then
and then I
get
see
excited,
the winter, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Because when she pole vaults, you're just like, what?
What?
Yeah, like what? Because even at one point, you're like, is this like a Happy Home Designer spinoff? Because they're like working on the outside of the house.
It's like a still camera, which I guess you probably can't even get in the game. It was just like for the trailer to show it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then when I knew, Bobby, what I was looking at, I was like, okay, that's it. Started shaking, getting excited. Yeah. I'm so hyped for this game. It's going to be amazing. I love everything about it.
Now, they came out today, and they said something a little different that is different than most Animal Crossing games is 8 people can live in your town. Not meaning I can't live in your town. But, like, if I played on the same console as you, you could have up to 8 people in your town. In the past, it was 4. So this is 8. But also, as you can see, you can have 8 people in your village at a time. So 8 people can visit. But
online.
That is just crazy. Because the max was 4.
Do you remember when we talked? That was one of the things I predicted, I think. Yeah. I mean, it made sense. I think it was an obvious prediction. But, yeah, I think it's great. There were probably many times with people where they wanted to play with their friends, but it's like, oh, only 3 people can come over. So you, and you. Oh, sorry, we can't play together or something. Yeah. So I think it's really cool. That's definitely a good improvement to the series. It's funny because 8 people can live in the town. And then, of course, there's going to be shops and there's going to be animals living there. So I really wonder, like, how is the map going to fit all that? Some people are saying the map looks smaller to them. I'm not really sure if I believe that. I don't really think.
I don't believe that at all because so when you watched Treehouse Live, they stayed predominantly in that corner.
Right.
And they did move to the left a little bit. But you never saw, even when they moved a little bit, you never were able to see the end of the town.
Right.
Now, I want to go back and look at it a little bit better and diagnose it a little bit, but you never saw that far over. So in my mind, I think it's got to be a bigger map. And never. And the other thing too is when she was at the beach. Now, if memory serves me correct, with New Leaf, I don't think you could see the back wall from the front of New Leaf, but like now because New Leaf the camera was more top down than anything. This one's kind of more on a pitch, so you could see distance behind you. Reminds me a little bit of Wild World, with the barrel kind of like where the world kind of rolls towards you a little bit. But I think it's going to be a bigger town. It's got to be.
I mean, it has to be. There's no way it can't be because they said 8 people can live in your village. Yeah. You're probably going to have at least 10 animals can live there. Least. And I'd imagine there's got to be some shops, of course, in your town. So it's got to be bigger to fit all that.
Well, New Leaf, you could bring in, 15 or 16 animals, right?
Yeah.
So 15 or 16 animals. So if that's the case, let's just go by that benchmark of 15 or 16 animals. Plus, you got to figure you're going to be having stores eventually popping up. So, and it's not, unless the stores are up against that back wall and you start to build the mall kind of like you had in New Leaf. There's so much to be answered, you know what I mean? But like for me, like if the stores are kind of like the original Animal Crossing, where they're kind of just sporadically around the place.
I hope that's the case, personally.
You would like that better than like a strip?
Yeah,
of
I
malls?
think it makes everybody's town feel more different. I think it gives you more reason to explore and walk around your town. It just feels more natural. I understand in real life, stores are usually close by each other, like in a thing, and I can understand that it seems like maybe that would be more convenient.
Yeah.
But if they give you the option, like Bobby, if you like all the stores together, you can do that. You can just craft and build them all together.
Yeah.
But if somebody like me wants to kind of make them throughout the town, then you could do that as well. So I think giving you the option to do that would be really a good thing.
I mean, for me personally, I think the one things that I would do is maybe put like, if just hypothetically, well, retail. Let's say we brought retail back, right? So we build retail and then the museum. I would probably put those two very close together because 9 times out of 10 what I do, I go catch fish, donate them to the museum, and then if they're already donated at one point, then I run them over and sell them. So having those two close together would probably be the only thing that I would do. But yeah, having it spaced out, it does. You're right. It adds character. It has the ability to have stuff different. Because the only thing we had in New Leaf was Town Hall and retail, and then we got the police station. But they were the only ones that you went in. But also the other thing too is if you didn't have to, because in New Leaf you had to kind of like reboot, sort, I don't know what you would even call that, like a load up screen would have to happen in order to go from the town to the malls, where if everything is up front you can get to where you have to, because you would have to boot up to get to the mall section, then boot up to go into the store, where in this case you could kind of just like go to the store and then you just boot up when you go in. Which
right, that's another thing. I mean, the worst offender of that is definitely City Folk, which I liked Animal Crossing City Folk. I don't hate it as much as other people, but man, you had to go over there, call the bus to come pick you up. The bus would then leave. Then you have that in-between segment talking to Cap'n, and then that has to load up the city, and then you enter the city. So there's just like, I think there was like 6 loading screens to go through just to go check to see what Gracie Grace has or get your fortune read. So like the load screens were a problem. They definitely fixed that a bit in New Leaf for sure with just the one load screen. But I feel like, you know what? If you just put all that in my town, then I have no load screens other than just walking into the building. I feel like that would be better.
And I feel like this is the other reason why I think the map is bigger, is because part of me feels like the island is gone. Which I hope isn't the case, because I love the island in New Leaf. But again, that's another thing. Like, you have to go out, you have to get on the boat with Cap'n, you have to get in the boat, you have to go out, you have to go walk through his song, get to the island. He pulls around. It's a real slow, like, around. Then you go in to the building, and it's got to load. Then you go back out of the building, and that's got to load. So that got a little monotonous. But I liked Tortimer's Island. I like playing those games and stuff like that. Made it fun to do that stuff with friends. So I mean, I'm kind of hoping that's all there, but who knows?
Right. There's so many questions with stuff like that. Like, will that return? Will they come up with some new version of that? Or, you know, so.
Are you a fan of, like, in the situation we're in right now, where they answered questions, but they left so many, like that, it's one of those things where, like, I'm going to answer your question, but now you're going to have, like, 50 more questions after I answer that question. Like, are you happy about that, or are you kind of like, this is BS?
I mean, I want to know everything about the game right this instant, to be honest.
I do too.
But no, I mean, I feel like it's different from like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever they end up calling it. They won't tell us anything about that other than what they showed us. Yeah. Whereas with Animal Crossing, I do feel like they were fielding a decent amount of questions in that treehouse. And so, by the way, I'm working on a video where it's 100 things about Animal Crossing. What's the name of it? Something I don't know the name. New Horizons. I always want to put destinations in there. Yeah. New Horizons. Animal Crossing fan, don't know the name of the new game yet.
It's okay. It's okay.
No, but I'm doing like 100 facts about Animal Crossing New Horizons, and I'm like picking up 100 things, and I think I'm at like 70 already.
Holy
So
cow.
there's a lot of stuff that they have
Yeah.
in those trailers and in the treehouse. So
I
pretty
actually
excited
I
about
started doing so well, I broke down the trailer, and
it.
then yesterday I broke down the trailer, and then today I started breaking down the treehouse thing and pulling as
Hmm.
much as I could out of it, and trying to like analyze frame by frame what I could pull out of it because there's so much there. But
Yeah.
when you watch it in the context it is, it's hard to pull it from it. But when you
Yeah.
stop and you're really analyzing the frames,
Hmm.
you can pull some stuff out. So that's kind
Oh,
of
there's
where
a
I
lot of
am.
subtle things. Yeah, I mean, like one of the things that I picked up on is now the animals in the town, if they see a bug or if you walk past them, they will look at you, but they'll move their eyeballs to look at you as well. So they actually have animation in
Yeah,
their pupils. So like the animals won't like move their head to look. He'll actually like give you a little side eye, a little
that's pretty.
shifty side eye or
That's
something.
pretty.
So that's like a neat detail. And
Yeah.
the wind I love. Obviously, that's obvious,
Well,
but
that I think that's going
holy
to add
crap.
to some stuff later on. You know what I mean?
The
Like,
ambience alone will be
yeah,
amazing. Like it's a winter night, it's Christmas Eve, and it's snowing, and it's windy, or there could be like a blizzard, or
yeah.
a thunderstorm with wind and rain. So like, and you can hear the wind. Like that to me is such an underrated feature
Oh,
that they're adding.
dude,
I'm
it's
so
gonna be
excited
well
about that.
because think about it. Like in New Leaf, I love thunderstorms. I thought
Hmm.
they nailed the thunderstorms. They were so fun, and I'm like, now it's gonna take it up a level because now you're gonna hear the wind blowing, the leaves
Hmm.
will be rattling as you're going through the tree. It's so
You know
good.
what's funny though? You know what's really funny? In City Folk and New Leaf, they have thunderstorms, but they forgot to put the lightning in the sky. Wild World is the only game that actually has the little lightning bolts when it's doing it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
I
true.
hope they remember to put the lightning in the sky with this
I'm
game.
pretty sure they did. So far what they've shown, they're paying attention to some detail.
Yeah, sky
Okay,
looks great in this
yeah,
game.
dude. Oh yeah, man, it looks fantastic.
Mhm.
The sky is just perfect. Um, okay, so let's move on because we'll be here for another hour if we don't stop.
Right.
Um, Banjo Kazooie in Smash. What's your feelings there?
I'm not like the biggest Banjo-Kazooie fan from back in the days.
Yeah,
I really preferred the setup of Mario 64 where you've got like a clever mission and you get a star in that,
mm,
whereas Banjo was really more like a collectathon,
yeah,
which is similar to Odyssey, for example. I call Mario Odyssey a sequel to Banjo-Kazooie more than a sequel to Mario 64 because
yeah,
just the way it's formatted.
yeah,
But like as a character, I think he's kind of cool. I like him and Kazooie. I think they're fun designs.
yeah,
I think they have an important part of Nintendo's history from the N64 days.
yeah,
So it's just really cool. I thought it was just really warm and fuzzy to
yeah,
watch them at it, and just the idea that like obviously Microsoft owns them, but they're working together. So there was
yeah,
that. I just think the design looks great. It's so funny. I mentioned it, but Nintendo is doing a better job representing Microsoft's character
yeah.
than Microsoft is. It's so weird to see
Well,
Nintendo do that.
they're doing
Mega
the
Man,
same. Yes,
Pac-Man,
Mega Man, Pac-Man, Sonic,
Sonic.
like
Yeah,
every like Castlevania, Simon Belmont. Like
right.
they bring these cat. It's funny to me that Nintendo will bring characters in, right, and revitalize them, and then
Hmm.
these franchises kick off again. Like Mega
Uh-huh.
Man was DOA, and then Nintendo puts them in Smash, and next thing you know, we're getting Mega Man games again.
Hmm.
It's crazy that that's the power of Smash that this thing has.
Are you saying we're going to get a new Banjo-Kazooie game soon?
It would not shock me.
Well,
It
yeah,
would
I
not shock
said
me.
in my reaction, I was like, okay, Microsoft, Nintendo just revitalized your character for you. He's in
Yeah,
one of the biggest game franchises of all time.
yeah,
Don't just let that sit.
no,
Make a
yeah,
Banjo
yeah.
game. What are you doing? So hopefully they are working on one. Who knows?
You would think, because most times when they do implement these characters back into Smash, there's a game coming.
Right.
Most times.
Except for Pac-Man. I don't think Pac-Man has anything. Did he?
I think they did like the championships here, but that's whatever. Who cared about Pac-Man? Pac-Man should have whatever. I don't. It's just
Are you
iconic. It's just
throwing some
iconic.
shade at Pac-Man?
There's just the only reason he's in there is just because it's history. It's iconic. It's whatever.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. What do you really do with Pac-Man? He eats
Yeah,
pellets and
yeah.
runs from ghosts. You can't really do a lot with
No,
that concept.
no. But like I feel like they could do something drastic with Banjo. So, and I
Yeah.
think the thing for me that makes it pretty special is the fact of like I was I was playing N64. I was enjoying N64 when all this went down, and it killed me to see Rare leave Nintendo. Like, I remember like, I was alive when it was happening, and I was, like, so entrenched in Nintendo and reading everything that I could about it, and it was like, when I heard that Microsoft bought them, it devastated me. And I was just
it devastated Rare as well, because they haven't really had too many hits since then.
No, you're absolutely right. And I say this to Sean Capri all the time because he's a big Xbox fan, and he gets so mad when I say this. But there is a story that the reason why Microsoft went so hard after Rare was because Microsoft, the people that were running Microsoft at the time, thought that Rare owned Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And they went after it because they wanted that IP. And then when they got everything, they were like, "Where's Donkey Kong?" And
where's
like,
Donkey Kong? What's going on? Taking the box, put it upside down.
And the other thing too about that was Nintendo kind of knew Rare's real value, and they knew that, like, they're not much without what we brought to the table.
Well, so that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Nintendo does this a lot with other studios like Next Level Games and Retro Studios. Nintendo is very much still involved with that. They still have their directors, their producers, very much hands-on. And so, yeah, I think Nintendo probably thought, you know what, we're doing a lot of the heavy lifting with Rare these days, and made some great games, but we really don't think it's worth our time and money to keep them. We could do those games ourselves if we wanted to do something or an idea. So I think if Rare wasn't purchased, they technically could have still made games on Nintendo platforms, right? Like if they weren't bought by. So Nintendo might have also been thinking that. Nintendo might thought, Square Enix might buy them and they'll still make games for our platform, and we don't have to spend a dime on it. Yeah. But of course, Microsoft bought them, and at the time they were really heavy competition, and so.
Well, the other thing too is for me, I remember this story as well. Another Miyamoto story was when they were working on the original Donkey Kong Country, Rare. They sent over to Nintendo what they had built, and Miyamoto was pissed and was like, "This is bad." So he went to England and spent months at England fine-tuning it, and like he added the quirkiness of like when you finish a level and Donkey Kong puts his hands over his head and like shakes his fists and does all these little quirky animations. That's all Miyamoto. And like he brought the game to life, and he was like, "It's just what you gave us isn't fun. It isn't like it doesn't get people." And then he made the changes, and the game sold like gangbusters. It was huge, but you know, it's it is what it is.
I think the original Donkey Kong Country, by the way, other than like GoldenEye 007, I think the original DKC is probably the only Rare game that I'm like truly, truly in love with.
It's so good.
The other ones I can kind of like take or leave some of them, but that's the one that was like, they deserve all, like, that's the amazing game that they put together.
That was so, even today, like when I play Tropical Freeze and Donkey Kong Country Returns, especially Tropical Freeze is so hard. And it's like, God, dude, this thing is like...
Bobby, you need to get good. Aren't you a gamer?
Listen, I beat the game. Don't get me wrong. I've beaten the game. But what I mean is like, the difficulty you play Donkey Kong Country Returns, and it's like, okay, this is a Donkey Kong game. This is good. Dude, Returns just ramps way up. The checkpoints...
Tropical Freeze.
The checkpoints are so far between, and like, you're like trying... Bobby, but don't get me wrong. I love it.
Give me your gamer card right now.
Would you stop
Hand it over. Hand me the gamer card.
You that don't even like Astral Chain and all the... Please. Don't even know what The Witcher 3 is.
Astral Chain looks too easy for me.
You are so full of crap. Okay, so the final game that I think the final big game that gets announced is Breath of the Wild 2. I know you're a big fan of Breath of the Wild. I know you.
I love it.
Yeah. Were you expecting a sequel?
You know what? I was expecting they would do a sequel because that engine they made took them so long to make. A lot of the development of Breath of the Wild was obviously them saying, okay, how can we really change the conventions of the series? And, they made this beautiful engine. It took them forever to do. So it would have just been so confusing for them to be like, all right, I don't know, let's just go do something else, throw that engine out, something drastically different. So I did expect there to be a game that would be like the Majora's Mask to Ocarina. So I thought there would be a sequel. Did I think it was going to be announced at E3 2019? Hell no, I did not.
Yeah.
So that was a big surprise. Yeah. Obviously, I don't think that's going to be out until like 2021, but...
I mean, I think it could be quicker.
Okay. I mean, it
Just
depends on when they started development, I guess.
that's partly it, and because the bulk of the game should be done. In
Right, the
theory,
engine.
the engine's
Yeah, I mean, they
done, the
did all
world's
that.
created. Like from what they showed when they panned back, it looked. I mean, it's only a small section of the world, but it looked pretty much like, you know. But what I'm hoping
So,
is by the time we get to this sequel,
mhm.
that a lot of Hyrule is rebuilt, and it's kind of like back to Hyrule as you would hope. Like I still want some parts beat up and damaged, but like I would love for the castle to be the legit castle and like everything kind of rebuilt and like years after the whole events of Breath of the Wild 1, because that's the one thing, like when I play Wind Waker, when you go back to Hyrule and it's damaged and stuff, but it's just like you get that feeling of like being in Hyrule Field and all that stuff. It's like you get that feeling of being a kid playing Zelda originally. So
Mhm.
I don't know. We'll see what happens with that though.
See, I don't know why, but I got the vibe that it wouldn't take place in the same location, but I guess it would. Yeah, why wouldn't they have it take place in that?
Well, you see the castle when in the back when the camera pans back, just before whatever that mist starts to swirl around the castle again. There's the castle right there, so you get that feel and that vibe that's where it is again. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. Um,
Yeah, because I almost feel like if it's like pretty much the same location, I don't know if that would be that exciting. Because I'd be like, oh, I've been here, I've done this, so
well,
they'd have to change a lot.
and that's why I'm saying I'm hoping they rebuild some
Right.
because if they rebuilt the world, then it's gonna have a different feel to it. It'll feel
Right.
like, hey, I've been here, but
But a lot has
a lot
changed
has
since I've been
changed
here.
since I've been here, and
Yeah.
they can flesh out some areas. Like you could go over to Tingle Island, and they could actually have stuff there. Like you went there the
Right. There's
last
a
time.
lot of
It's very
places.
there's a lot of deserted places, so they could
Yeah,
add
it's
stuff back.
I remember when they were first talking about the concept of maybe doing DLC for the first game. That was one of the things I kind of wanted them to do. I thought they would do that. Like, oh, we got a lot of areas that are just kind of empty. Well, we can fill those in with things.
Yeah,
And of course, they went a different direction. So maybe that's what they do with the sequel then.
could be.
Does the castle like start rising from the ground in that trailer? Or am I just seeing things? It
I
looks like
think
there's like
no,
it's coming up from the ground.
you're seeing things.
Okay.
It's what it looks like to me
Hmm.
is you remember when you're playing the original Breath of the Wild and they show like when Ganon takes over and that red swirl kind of goes around. It's similar to that where something's coming up out of the ground and starting to spin around the castle. So
Okay.
I don't know what it is and what it means, but it's something obviously. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this. I'm
what?
really excited.
Let me ask you a question. What from a sequel? What do you want? Like, what is something that you had kind of wanted in Breath of the Wild originally? I mean, obviously you didn't know you wanted it, but after playing it for X amount of hours, was there something you were like, man, I wish they would have done this or they would have done that?
Um, it's funny because there's not a lot of things that I really am left wishing were in the game. I'm really
Yeah.
blown away by that game. I'm like in love with it. But I will say one area they could improve on is the Divine Beasts were not great in my
Mm-mm.
opinion. They were a little boring. They all
Yeah.
looked the same
Yeah.
and they were pretty small and it's just kind of basic. So if they made a sequel to Breath of the Wild that has all that wonderful exploring and the big map and just finding little things and discovering, oh, you'll get roasted apples if you shoot a fire arrow at the tree. Keep all that and do more of that.
Yeah.
But then also have some like legit temples.
Yeah.
I think that would be the perfect match for both types of people.
Yeah.
People like me who are desperately wanting something new like Breath of the Wild, but also people who are like, you know what, I miss those temples and those dungeons to explore.
Yeah.
So I think maybe find a way to do some cool new dungeons and maybe a unique way to do them or present them.
Yeah.
But I'd say that was weak in the first game, the Divine Beasts and the temples. So that could be an area they could improve.
I'm with you there. I feel like temples need to come back in some way.
Mhm.
I think the thing that I have said on numerous occasions was I would like them to bring temples back and to be where like you could go into any temple at any time
Mhm.
as long as you had X amount of shrine orbs. So in order to enter your first temple, you had to have 10. Then like your second temple, you maybe had to have another 10. And then like every 10 shrine orbs that you have, it'll unlock the gates to a temple, and you can pick any temple it is, so that way you're not kind of locked in a path, so to speak. It still keeps that open world feel to it, so you can actually walk into kind of similar, like when you start the game, you can go right after Ganon if you want, but it's going to be very difficult. Or you could play the game and flush it out and go. So it's something similar. Like I could go into this temple, and it's crazy hard, or I can go the path, of the easy and build my way up. But maybe there's something really powerful in that shrine or in that temple that if I unlock it, boom, it helps me better in my journey. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
For me, that's probably the one thing. Temples are definitely something I want in this game because I feel like that's the one thing that was lacking in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, Breath of the Wild really knocked it out of the park for me, but I do think some more traditional themed temples. I think that's one of the things that I felt was a little missing. Like I liked that theme of a temple. Yeah. The Divine Beasts were all just like that same interesting architecture, but I don't want it for everyone.
Yeah, no, I got you. I'm with you. So before we wrap here, I just want to go through a couple of things real quick. Was there anything else in the Nintendo presentation that you were like, yes?
There was.
Okay.
And I'm not seeing a lot of people caring about this. Okay. I guess you just have to care about the source material. But there's a frigging Dark Crystal video game?
The minute you said that, I knew where it was coming from. Okay.
What the heck? That's amazing to me. Like, that's such a crazy, imaginative movie from Jim Henson.
Yeah.
And so I don't know who would have possibly thought, there'll be a Dark Crystal video game in 2019
well, it
on
looked
the Switch.
Because when it first popped up, you saw the Netflix logo.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if there's going to be a new series on Netflix, and that's where.
There is. From? No, yeah, we've known about it for a while, and I think it is going to launch soon. So it is kind of tying into the new series on Netflix.
Gotcha.
But it's like a really high budget series on Netflix. Like it's legit sets and puppetry and animatronic. It's not CGI. So Netflix is actually doing several games apparently from their original series. I don't know about them, but. Yeah, I'm just, huge Muppet fan, huge Jim Henson fan. So, like,
awesome.
Dark Crystal video game was something that I'm interested in. I definitely want to get it.
Pretty amazing.
Looks like it plays a little bit like Mario and Rabbids in a way with the turn-based stuff.
Yes.
So it could be cool.
Are you a fan of Fire Emblem at all, or you just care less? You care less. I can tell by that look. I mean, you'll play Dark Crystals, but you won't play Fire Emblem.
Well, I played Rabbids and Mario. It's just got to be the right source material.
Okay.
Anime wife. Listen, you're not talking to Rogers base here. I'm not interested in the anime waifus. It's different. You got to get him on next.
He'll be on. I'll bring him back. Okay, final question that I have for you. Did you watch other conferences, or was Nintendo the only thing you really paid attention to?
No, I did watch. I watched Microsoft's press conference.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm giggling. There's no reason I'm giggling. And then I watched Ubisoft's conference.
Okay.
And I think that's it. I think that's what I watched.
Was there anything in the Microsoft that stood out to you at all?
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft's was better than Ubisoft's, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There was the Battletoads game looks cute from Microsoft.
Yes.
Microsoft does a pretty good job of. My voice just cracked. I'm still trying to hit puberty.
I understand, man.
Microsoft's conference had a good variety of types of games for the most part. I thought, there were some of those more lighthearted, cartoony things that I like. What is it? Ori and the Blind Forest?
Yes,
is that the name?
Yes.
That looks very pretty.
So that one is Ori and the Whispering Willow, whatever it is.
So it's like a sequel.
This is the sequel. Okay. Ori and the Blind Forest is the original. This is the sequel one. Okay,
so they announced that. But yeah, that Battletoads. I'd have to rewatch it, but I do think there were probably about 4 or 5 things where I'm like, oh, that looks cool.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Sea of Thieves. That's already out, but that's rare in Microsoft. I play that a lot with friends.
Would you like to see? Do you think that can play on the Switch at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it could. You can play that in very low graphic setting to where it looks pretty crappy.
Okay.
So I think it could run on the Switch. You probably would have to. There'd be a whole issue with online. I would imagine you'd have to connect to Xbox Live. How would you go online with that?
I mean, we play Minecraft online. Minecraft is through Xbox.
Oh yeah,
Live.
I mean, I guess I'm playing it online for free as well though on my laptop. So I guess I mean, I think that could be a success on this on the Switch, and I do think it could run not at its prettiest graphical settings, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but because that game does look pretty when you have it at the highest settings, it's like, oh.
What do you play on PC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I played with friends on PC.
Nice.
Ubisoft's conference though was like, I like Ubisoft.
Yeah, me too.
They're very good people.
Yeah.
But that conference was like depressing to me because there was such a lack of diversity in games,
Yeah.
the style of games. Everything just felt like it was realistic, gritty. I feel like every game was like, the year is 2077 and the government's out of control.
Yeah.
But you're a rebel. It was like all that kind of thing. And it's like, all right, that's kind of a cool concept, but I mean, this is like 4 games that are kind of like that.
Yeah.
So, like where was the Rabbids weren't there, Rayman wasn't there. There wasn't like they usually have like some creative, colorful projects. I don't think there was like anything like that from Ubisoft.
That's the thing. Like Ubi does, they have their niche projects that are like really samey. You know what I mean? And then they do these quirky, artsy games out of left field, and there was none of that this year.
Oh, there was the Monsters versus Gods or whatever. Yeah. That was looking cool, but that was like a pre-rendered or whatever 5-second thing. And like, I don't even know what it is, but that could be promising.
I mean, they let me, I really thought they were going to have, I really thought Mario Rabbids 2 was going to hit. Okay. But I also kind of thought like we'd get something from them in terms of like Rayman 2 or like another, not Rayman 2, but another Rayman game. Something. They just had nothing, and it blew me away. Like every year, like the one year they had Valiant Hearts and Child of Light, and they always had like the Ubi art stuff. They had none of that, and it was just like, what is going on? Like I don't know, man. I expected Ubi to blow me away, and they did nothing for me. And I guess
I tuned in because I thought there'd be more for Nintendo since they have such a good relationship with Nintendo with the Switch. And I'm sure there were games that are coming to the Switch, but there wasn't like that kind of Nintendo flavor games.
Exactly.
I don't know.
It's interesting. I guess we'll see how things progress. Josh, thank you so much for coming back on again, man. I truly, truly appreciate it. And
anytime, Bobby.
And the next time we'll be breaking bells, and we are going to do a deep dive on Animal Crossing. So be prepared. That'll be soon. Hopefully, I'll get you like in a week or so. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Sure.
Let everybody know. I mean, there's not a whole lot of places they can follow you. Just, I guess, how can they find you?
You can go to your local prison and visit me.
Stop.
You can follow me at, what is the name of the channel again? Did I change it again? No, it's still the Bit Block.
Okay.
You can follow me at the Bit Block.
You're over that stupid Joshy Wii folder.
Follow me at Wii Folder Block Beyond Nintendo iPhone.org. It's the Bit Block.
Is it the Bit Block?
I went back to the Bit Block a while ago.
No. When you actually look up the URL,
I think it is.
Because at one time it was like still like
gibberish.
Joshy's folder or Wii folder or something like that.
Well, it started out as Wii Folder. This was in the 1980s. I had the Wii Folder YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. I think it's the Bit Block. I'm trying to look here.
I think it is the Bit Block. Well, it's definitely just search the Bit Block. You'll find it. It pops right up. Again, thank you so much. For myself, you can find me Instagram, Twitter at Nintendo Gurus. Thank you guys for tuning in, and that is all. Josh's favorite part. Peace out,
Preston. I stole your catchphrase. Peace out, Preston.
Peace out, Preston.
Has anybody ever stolen that before?
No. Sean Capri tried it once, but I smacked him down.